Alright, boys, you better lock the f in.
On this channel we have talked about a lot of different topics and we have made a lot of different top 10 lists. We have ranked champions based on their lore, even though that video is outdated now. We have talked about the most powerful champions according to the lore, and then we did it again after Riot retconned their old universe.
It's not the first rodeo.
And we even talked about the weakest champions according to the lore. But we have never ranked every single champion based on their power in the lore compared to each other. So, that's what we are fixing today. Today we will rank every...
I'm gonna assume that Aurelion Sol is gonna be at like the very top, and then below him would be like Bard, Aatrox. That's what I'm assuming is gonna be at like the top.
The champion based on their power in the lore, but there is a slight catch. We will be ranking what their power can be measured as. Or if you wanna make that comparison, we will be judging their power level. But power level doesn't come only from combat. Lilia is a good example. If Lilia fought Set, Set would probably snap her neck. But that doesn't mean that Lilia is weaker than Set. She is still a spirit born from the dreams in Ionia.
Yeah, there's gotta be power in that.
Her power level is much higher than the other Vastaya. So when we talk about this list, remember that we are boiling the champions down to a single number. We will be calling that the power level.
Right.
However, if one champion is above the other, that doesn't necessarily mean that the higher one would be able to take down the lower one in combat.
Yeah, I would imagine Kindred's gotta be pretty high up there as well.
Power doesn't always come from fighting. With that said, we will not be taking into account political power. Swain
I would assume like Mordekaiser's pretty up there. I would think like Pantheon's gotta be pretty up there. I mean, any of the aspects, basically. Like, they all have to be, like, pretty much really powerful. God Warrior champions. Man, there's really a lot of them. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them.
One of the leaders of an entire empire. That should give him a massive political influence. But that kind of influence on other people is not necessarily his own power. It's just that the other people trust him. Or are forced into trusting him. So we are focusing purely on the individuals. Lastly, I understand that a lot of people will have their bias. We all main some champions. But even if you main a champion, just understand that maybe your main is not that powerful in the lore. Just deal with it. And to make sure I didn't have any bias and this list is as fair as possible, we spent 4 hours on stream moving around the different champions to strike the perfect balance.
You know what I think would be fun? People ask me to kind of do this in World of Warcraft too, like who's the strongest champions or like what's the strongest class. This would be kind of fun to do for like a WoW video too. I think people would be very interested in that. Maybe hearing it from my perspective of like, where does Illidan rank next to like Thrall and like Queen Ashara, and like where does Tyrande go? Where does Malfurion go? Where does Garrosh go? Etc, etc.
There still are some champions that are debatable, but we will talk about these as we get to them. So now, without further ado, since we have more than 150 different champions to talk about, let me try to briefly justify the placement of all of them. Looking at this list, understand that the ladders don't matter. It doesn't matter if a champion is S rank or A rank. What matters is the placement compared to each other.
Bro, that's a lot of champions, dude. Oh my god.
That's why, instead of using this kind of list, we will be using this kind of list. This has all the champions on one list compared to each other. And even though this looks very complicated, it is very easy to understand.
And this is still missing a
dozen. The most powerful champions are at the top, the weakest at the bottom. And in each row, the most powerful is on the left and the weakest is on the right. However, we still have 5 champions at the very bottom which don't have any lore. Or even if they do, the lore tells us nothing about their power. This is mainly the Voidborn, Corki, who was only ever mentioned in a cinematic, Shaco, who really just doesn't exist, and Amumu, who is just a legend. We have no idea what's happening with him. So now, finally, let's get onto the list. From the video where we have ranked the weakest champions according to the lore, you may remember that the old crowned king of the weakest champions was Draven. Draven is an entertainer who is a good fighter.
This is only funny to me because I can't help but think of Tyler 1. It just like cracks me up that like he's one of the weakest characters. That's so funny. I thought he was like 6'5", 250 pounds, bro. I mean, that's crazy.
But who lacks some real training. That's why he used to be the worst. But ever since then, things changed slightly. First of all, the new crowned king of the weakest champions in League is Seraphine. She is literally a person who can hear your thoughts.
Sailor
The
Moon.
end. I wonder how
She can hear your thoughts. I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing in a world of normal humans. But in this world, that doesn't sound that impressive.
It's gonna protect her from the blade of an axe. But above her, instead of Draven, we have Jinx. And there's only one reason why that is the
Rip.
case. You see, Jinx is just a crazy person with a gun. Jinx is the Florida man of Runeterra. She is certainly dangerous, but compared to all the other magical creatures on this list, she's really not that strong. And the only reason why Draven would be able to beat her is because very recently Riot tried to give us some context as to how Draven works. His problem used to be that when he throws away his axe, he can't get it back again. But Riot tried to argue that he has more axes hanging on his belt.
Stupid.
Now, I don't know how massive his belt is, or how many axes he can actually have on his belt, but you know what, that's a good reason why Draven could at least equal to Jinx. So it really doesn't matter which one you think is weaker, these two are just the worst. Not as bad as
I'm not that
Hermit.
worried about it. This is
Above
all for
them,
fun anyway. It's all for fun anyway. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
we
And it's
have
outdated.
Annie.
We all know it's outdated. It's fine.
This may surprise a lot of you,
Annie,
but
huh?
remember that Annie has no real idea how to use her power. The only thing that ever happens to her is that when she gets scared, Tibbers comes to life to save her. And that's
She
all,
also gets, well, it seems like when she gets really mad.
all that ever happens. Unlike what she does in the game, in the lore, she
Also.
doesn't really know how to cast spells.
Mm.
It just randomly happens. Then there is Twitch. Twitch's advantage is that he's a mutant.
Twitch's advantage is that they insist on consistently providing misinformation. They're the master deceivers, but it doesn't get them very far.
He can get wounded and then be fine the next day. And he has a really deadly crossbow, but that's kinda where it ends. The one who would be able to beat him is Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is really strong when it comes to his physical form, but he does have his limitations. He's a machine, so if people know how he works, they can easily abuse him. And also, his moral code tells him that he shouldn't be harming people. Above him, believe
That
it
does
or
make it
not,
difficult.
there is Cassiopeia. And that's for one simple reason. Cassiopeia never does what she's actually doing in the game. In the lore, all she ever did is strangle people with her snake tail. However, we should mention
I mean,
the fact that she did petrify someone once. There was a
like
story where she
Medusa.
was stressed and she screamed so hard she turned someone into stone. So she does have some abilities, but first of all, it is her curse, she doesn't know how to control it. And we simply don't have that much info on what her abilities are about. She simply needs more lore. But at the very least, she really doesn't have the ability to summon snakes. Spitting poison is the only ability which I would understand. Then there is Echo. Echo is kinda shady because yes, the ability to manipulate time may sound really powerful, but it has a catch. Yes, with his device he can slow time.
but he doesn't heal when he goes back to do it again. That's one of the things that I noticed when I watched the Piltover and Zahn thing, is that like he sustains the injury no matter what.
For a brief moment. And then for quite a while he can't use it again. But that is the stronger ability. His rewinding time is even worse. He can only rewind like 6 seconds back. And he can only do it if he is alive. So one bullet in the head and Echo is done. Not to mention the fact that even if he rewinds, he will still feel the pain from his wounds. This was especially shown in his cinematic. So his abilities are really not that powerful. Then there is Mundo. Mundo speaks for himself. He is physically strong, but he's dumb as bricks. Then there is Ezreal. And right after Ezreal, there will be a lot of champions who have very similar power level. Ezreal's only issue is that he doesn't really know how to control his glove perfectly. He himself doesn't really have any kind of professional training. And oftentimes, he has no idea what he's doing. He's kinda squeezing the glove and hoping that something good happens. So while the Glove of Nazuk, the artifact which he has, is really powerful.
Where did he get that? Is that like it looks like almost Shuriman or something. Is that like a Shuriman artifact? What the fuck is that? He stole it from Atsuman Shurima. I'm learning.
Ezreal doesn't know how to fully unlock its potential.
How many characters have no idea how to control their powers? Is this setting just a bunch of monkeys with guns? Oh, that's funny.
On a similar level, then there is Graves. Graves' power really comes from two things. Living in the underground, he has lived through a lot of shootouts. He knows how to fight people. But also, his shotgun is just really powerful. And since it is partially enhanced with magic and hextech, it is just really strong.
Big cannon. And Graves is he's the partner of the guy with the cards. What's that guy's name? Twisted Fate? That's his name?
Very slightly above him, there is Misfortune.
Tobias Fate is his name. But he goes by Twisted Fate. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're canonically romantic partners. Yeah, that's why I said that. His partner. Not just partners like in crime, but Graves is actually Teemo wearing a flesh suit. Okay, moving on.
Yes, she's just a human. But on top of Graves, her combat mastery is a bit higher. She's far more agile, she has charm on her side.
She sure as shit does.
Similar to Graves, her guns were crafted by the best smiths in Bilgewater.
She's got more than that on her side, dude.
On a similar level, above her, we have Alistar. While Alistar is really strong because...
So this is, when I played League of Legends, pardon me. This is the only character that I ever played. I played this guy, and I stood on top lane next to a tower, and I just killed someone when they came near me. And then when my tower got destroyed, I went back to the other tower, and then I stood there and killed them when they came near that. And that's all I did. That's all I did. That's my League experience.
Because he's a Minotaur, that's kinda where his powers end. He would be able to take a lot of hits, and he would last for very long. But anyone with at least a little bit of training would be able to outmaneuver him. Or if they are clever, they can outlast him. Really, compared to the other Minotaurs which we know about from Legends of Runeterra, Alistar should be one of the weaker ones. Then there is Jace. Above everyone else, he actually has a really powerful hextech machinery on his side, that being his hammer. But the real benefit he has comes from his intellect. He is very smart. But his smartness probably won't outmaneuver Vi. While Jace crafted the hammer himself, Vi's Atlas gauntlets were enhanced by the professionals in the...
Vi's pretty hot too. I mean, all of them are fucking hot. Like, well, this isn't good. This isn't news, but like, I remember seeing a cinematic with this one. I think she was fighting with a top hat girl with a sniper rifle or something. They were fighting a big freaky fucking four-legged machine fucking dude who's all imbued with chemtech who came out of like a fucking... I don't know what it was, but... she's fighting alongside Caitlyn against Urgot. Yeah, Caden V against Urgot. Yeah, that was a badass cinematic. That was cool. Yeah, that was a good one.
The Piltover military. So in the present days, Vi would be above Jace. And of course, above her, we would have Caitlyn.
There she is.
Who not only has a really deadly hextech sniper rifle, but
sick.
She also has professional officer training on her side. Though even that kind of training would not outlast Gangplank, whose power really comes from his stubbornness and refusal to die. He lost his arm and he came back. He was tested by Illaoi with the power of Nagake Boros, and he passed the test of his will. He was deemed worthy of living by the gods themselves.
This guy faced like the fucking Kraken god itself and was deemed worthy? It's like a fucking badass Davy Jones type shit, dude. Blackbeard type shit. That's pretty sick, dude.
That alone makes Gangplank more powerful than anyone else so far. And this is where the power level jumps up a bit. So now we get to people who are either military veterans, or they have some kind of a special or magical training. First there is Irelia. Irelia comes from a family of weavers.
Irelia's cool,
weaver
dude.
dancing. And it so happens that her weaver dances are able to manipulate blades that come from her family crest. She was quite strong even when she was young. That's when she cut off Swain's hand. But she is still somewhat inexperienced compared to the others.
Swain's
what she's really lacking is some professional training. Irelia is purely self-taught. She knew how to dance, then she realized she can manipulate blades, and she herself started training with the blades. So, someone...
That's pretty sick, dude. Totally self-taught. During the Noxian Ionian War, during the invasion. Yeah, I saw her fight against Scion or something. Is that the same? That's the same thing, right? When the Noxians, that's when they invaded Aurelia. Or not Aurelia. Ionia. Yeah. And I saw Kennen and a bunch of other champions fighting against him too. Ayo, guys, shut you. You know that's not what I meant to fucking say. That's the second invasion as far as we know, so not the same. Okay.
Unlike Riven would be above her. Because not only is Riven's blade far more powerful than what Irelia has. Remember that her weapon was crafted by the Black Rose. But also Riven was trained in the Noxian military. She got a proper soldier's training. So those combined would
This is the chick that fought in the... She was in the arena thing that Draven came down and fought, right? Because he was all mad at her and shit.
Her higher. And she would be roughly on the same level
Nice.
as someone like Akali. Akali is partially spiritually attuned to Ionia, even though her bond is not really that strong.
Her tattoos are fucking sick.
But she also has her Kinku training, with the Kinku being one of the most
Oh, he was
powerful
pleased that someone's a worthy challenge. I see.
orders in Ionia. And then we have two Yordles.
Oh no, that's not what it was. Draven will not tolerate anyone taking the spotlight from him. That makes sense.
Who are highly debatable. There is Nar and Fizz. The issue with those two is that they are primitive. Nar is the oldest Yordle on Runeterra, and Fizz is very close to him. And while Nar's Mega Form would be able to defeat anyone else so far, he is not smart, and so the rest would be able to outmaneuver him. And with Fizz, the issue is that Fizz just never fights. He jumps around and plays with people, but he never really does anything beyond that. Yordles usually rank higher up because they are Yordles.
Those things are both Yordles? Ancient ones. Interesting.
Their normal power level is really high, but they are brought even higher because of their intellect. Yordles are smart, but not these two.
So like primitive Yordles might have been more attuned to like the wilds, like more primal. And therefore they may like have different forms that reflect that more. They're more like connected with like untamed primal life maybe rather than what we have now.
That's why these two are debatable. So if you would personally rank them higher, I would understand. And then there is Gragas. While the Iceborn are really strong people, Gragas is lacking any kind of real weapon.
I mean, that's Bran Bronzebeard. What's up, man? What's up? Like, what the fuck?
Yes, he would be able to punch you to death, but that's kinda where he ends. He is physically insanely strong, but nothing more than that. He would be on a similar level as someone like Quinn. Quinn's issue is that she is no assassin, she's not a killer, she's a scout. She is really good at sneaking around and scouting areas.
That's cool.
But when she gets into a fight, she's not that good. As an example, in the Garen novel, Quinn almost died after fighting 2 people at once.
Okay.
A lot to help her. And we are counting that power. That's why she is a lot higher than someone like Caitlyn. But still, she is really not that strong. And above her, we would have the 2 Noxian assassins. Of them, Talon is absolutely the stronger one. That's why he's above her. However, neither of those 2 assassins are perfect. The reason why Katarina has a scar on her face is because she failed as an assassin.
So for a lot of you guys, this is waifu right here. Katarina's waifu, dude. I mean, kind of based, dude. Kind of based. I mean, I'm kind of with you.
That's why she was kicked out. And Talon managed to fail to kill Katarina when she was stationary. So neither of them are perfect killers.
That's a terrible
That's
assassin.
why above them we would have the Demacian crew. Fiora, Jarvan and Garen are all interchangeable. We know that Garen and Jarvan should be on the same kind of level, because from their childhood they have always been training together.
Jarvan the Third. So this is the fucking emperor. This guy looks, or emperor, the king. This guy looks fucking sick.
2 are great friends. But the reason why I would put Garen slightly higher is because...
Oh, that's the 4th. I'm sorry. Because the 3rd's fucking dead. That's the 4th. Sorry about that.
Unlike Jarvan, Garen is used in battles far more often. He should have more experience. And the very slight problem with Fiora is that
She has a French accent. Third is killed by Katarina. Right, okay. That's, I mean, it's a way to go out. Sorry, he was talking about Fiora.
He should have more experience. And the very slight problem with Fiora is that Fiora is focusing on one-on-one battles. She is an amazing duelist.
Right,
but
fencer.
her combat abilities are highly limited by
Yeah.
that. And above these three, we would
That's
have
Mayo.
Darius. Darius should be just as strong as Garen. The two would likely be equal. And while Garen has the advantage of having Petricite, the Noxian soldiers have the Black Iron, which is mined from the Freljord. And that is the strongest kind of steel that we know about. Darius's armor is nearly unbreakable. If you also count the
Sick.
fact that he's a member of the Triferix, even if we don't count the political power, Darius would be slightly above Garen.
This guy here's the strongest human. That would make sense. Well, what I'm kind of confused about is, wouldn't Darius be above Trundle? Doesn't he literally beat him in a fight? Or maybe that came out after this, so maybe it's slightly outdated. Or Trundle is a troll. I know that. That came out after this? Okay.
Surprisingly, slightly above him, then we have the special
He beat
people.
young Trundle. Oh. Okay. Yeah, this tier list is 3 years old.
Surprisingly, slightly above him, then we have the special people. Just like Twisted Fate, who seems to be a normal human, but he is actually a mage. And his magical abilities alone would be above the rest. Vayne
Okay.
is on a similar level, but she doesn't take advantage of magic. She ranks higher above the rest because of her arsenal alone. She is a really good killer, but she is also being carried by her weapons.
Yeah, that latex outfit. Is this like female Blade? Like, interesting. Yes? Oh, God, cool.
Are armed with silver bolts. But better than silver bolts is Lucian with his sentinel guns. The recent event showed us that the sentinel guns are really powerful, but they also enhance Lucian's abilities. They give him slight magical abilities such as his dash. Above Lucian we would have something like Zac, who is really just an experiment with quite some potential, but that's really where Zac
The
ends.
fuck is that
He
thing?
is strong when it comes to slapping people, but he is just a blob after all. On a similar level, we would have
It's
Sting.
Flubber. Flubber. Holy shit. That's such a fucking... That's a classic now at this point. Oh my god.
He is a Piltovan professor by day and a Zoanite murderer by night. He managed to figure out how to slightly prolong his own life, but he's currently trying to figure out how to really become immortal. His current experiments are some of the creepiest stories which we have in League. And it is all about Singed stitching...
Wait a second. Who is this?
On a similar level, we would have Singed. He is a Piltovan
Singed.
professor by day and a Zoanite murderer by night. He managed to figure out how to slightly prolong his own life, but he's currently trying to figure out how to really become immortal.
Is this the guy? Did this guy turn himself into a fucking werewolf? No, that's a different character. Who's this? Oh, that's Warwick. Sorry, for some reason this guy kind of looks similar to him. It's all the green. My bad.
His current experiments are some of the creepiest stories which we have in League.
He made Warwick. Oh.
And it is all about Singed stitching people together in hopes of attaching a smart person onto a strong person, or prolonging the
It's okay.
smart person's life. There is the theory that Singed wants to do that to himself. I highly recommend reading his story.
worry
Jin's
about it.
power comes from two different things.
Jin seems
his
cool.
masterful planning and the Tula armory.
His
Many
fucking-
people
he
may not
looks
know
sick.
about it, but all the guns that Jin has were sponsored by a secret Ionian cabal. They are really powerful and
Oh.
magically enhanced. So his arsenal would rank him above the rest.
Yeah, his Jin looks fucking sick, dude. Like the mask thing that he does is fucking badass. Yeah, he's got Ionian colors too. And his name is kind of in that, same vein. The weapons look like they're fucking crafted out of fucking beautiful wood or something. My god.
Powerful and magically enhanced. So his arsenal would rank him above the rest. Then we have
Why are people spamming 4? Why are people spamming 4? 4! What are you guys playing golf? Jin's theme. He's obsessed with the number 4. Oh, I mean, 4 is like I'm not gonna get into all that, but I'm pretty sure 4 is like has like some reasons for like perfection or equilibrium or unity or something like that. 4 means death. Oh, it's some numerology type stuff. Interesting. Okay.
like Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is a Voidborn who eats animals. He's
Oh my god. That's a fucking scissors. That's a scissor. That's dude, what the fuck?
not really that smart, but physically he gets stronger
It's a
with every
scyther. Yeah, scissors the red one.
kill. However, he's not really the ever-consuming void creature.
Gross.
Surprisingly, Lux would be on a similar level. She is a really strong mage, and she has the potential to be really high up on the list.
Lux is cool.
But her issue is that Lux doesn't really know how to control her light. That is the point of her story, especially in the comic. Above her, we have the other people who tap into magical abilities, such as Nidalee. She is really just a person who taps into the ability to morph into a cat. And then there is Kai'Sa, who really just taps into the ability to have a Voidborn attached to her.
I mean, by the way, in terms of contention with misfortune, Kai'Sa's up there, dude. Kai'Sa's very up there.
She is strong, but it's nothing mind-blowing.
Respectfully.
And then there is Rengar, who over time is getting stronger and stronger on a way faster rate than someone like Kha'Zix. And don't worry, no, we are not counting the power that comes from the Sentinels of Light, just like for Vayne. This is just Rengar before the event. Then there is Elise, who, just like Nidalee or Kai'Sa, is a human that is tapping into another source of power, but it just so happens to be that the power of the Shadow Isles is way better, with it being connected to an immortal god called Vilemo. Above her there is Kayn, who is also tapping into another power. The issue with Kayn is that he is still a child.
And that's Darkin, obviously. Nice.
And his shadow training is nowhere near completion. So he is neither a master of the shadow technique, nor is he the Darkin.
And I also learned about Naafiri, which is the Darkin dog thing, right? And then Zolari is another one, right? Zolani, not Zolari, Zolani.
That's why he is a lot weaker in the current state than what people realize. On a similar
Zolani's not playable? Oh, okay.
level, there would be Warwick, who is really strong and really ferocious, but his insane status kinda cripples him at the same time. The same goes for Urgot, but Urgot is actually smart. And that's not even talking about him being really resilient, or the fact that he can meat grind people. And slightly above him, there would be Sona, who is a really powerful mage who can make you dance so hard your bones break.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Don't underestimate Sona. And on a very similar level, there would be someone like Orianna. Orianna's power doesn't really come from combat. Yes, she can fight,
sick.
but she's no fighter. Her power purely comes from the fact that she's the perfect combination of organic and synthetic. She is the top form human assimilated with Hextech. But she's not quite perfect. We'll get to that.
That's a fucking... There's human in there somewhere? Organic and synthetic just melded together. So she's like full-blown Hextech juiced. Huh. Spoiler area? Alright, shut the fuck up.
Human assimilated with Hextech. But she's not quite perfect. We'll get to that. And then there is Yuumi. While everyone may argue
What
that
the fuck is
Yuumi
that?
is just a cat, that's not really the case.
Is that a fucking cat? Is that even a fucking cat? Ma! There's a weird fucking cat outside it! It looks like Grandma, the fucking thing!
Yuumi is a spirit from Bandle City. She's exactly the same thing as something like Pix, which Lulu has. So it doesn't matter what she looks like. She may look like a cat, but her power level would be something close to something like Vastaya, a magical creature. But she would still be slightly lesser than them. That's why above Yuumi we have most of the Vastaya. There is Rakan, who is really the weakest of them. Then there is Set, who is a really strong fighter. And
That's Grahatia. Everyone knows that. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. That's Grahatia. I'm never going to call him anything else. His name is not Set. It's Buff Grahatia. Okay?
really strong fighter, and he is a Vastaya, but his human side is kinda holding him back. Above him, there would be another really...
By the way, Grahatia is super powerful. It's just that everyone in FF14 is a twink. Well said, Jay. Well said.
Formidable fighter, Sivir. Sivir would be a lot lower on the list if she didn't hold the Chalikar. The Chalikar is the blade that was the key to sealing the Darkin inside their weapons. That artifact alone is insanely good. But above her, there is Samira.
Wait. Let me hear that again. What's up, Samira? How you doing? Anyway, what did he just... I want to hear this again. She has the relic that was used to seal the entities inside the weapons?
Sivir. Sivir would be a lot lower on the list if she didn't hold the Chalikar. The Chalikar is the blade that was the key to sealing the Darkin inside their weapons. That artifact alone is insanely good.
Oh.
But above her, there is
Okay.
Samira. Samira is a professionally trained mercenary who is also an assassin. Now, that alone would make her strong, but what puts her that high on the list is the fact that her arsenal comes from the Black Rose. You really can't find more advanced weapons in the entirety of Noxus. Then there is
Sick.
Talia.
That chick fucks in the actual game, right? Like, she's actually a really good champion. She's got nerfed a bunch. Oh, but when she first came out, she was OP.
Can't find more advanced weapons in the entirety of Noxus. Then there is Talia, a really good stoneweaver who suffers from two things. She is really young and inexperienced, and she never got proper training for her abilities.
It's tough.
She was trained by Yasuo when she was in Ionia, and that's really where it ended. So should she get some proper elemental training from
Earthbender.
Ishtal, Talia would be a lot higher, but currently she's not that strong. And finally, to top of this category, there is also Xayah, the last Ionian Vastaya who is by far the deadliest of them. But here we have a bit of a jump in the power level. Next up, there is Xin Zhao, who many may know as Viscero. That was his gladiator name. Xin Zhao was originally an
Xin Zhao.
Ionian soldier. He was insanely powerful, but he was captured by the Noxians during the invasion. Because he was so strong, the Noxians thought it would be funny if they used him in the arena. And so, that's where Xin fought. And no one ever defeated him. He was able to take on dozens of people at the same time.
Yeah, we watched all this earlier. That was cool, dude. That felt like I was able to actually go through a lot of Xin Zhao's story kind of sequentially. And like, I feel like he's one of the characters that now I probably know the most about.
Being as strong as he is, the Noxians then used Xin Zhao as a living weapon. And together with some other gladiators, they sent Xin Zhao into Demacia to claim the lands for them. That's where the Noxians were defeated, and Jarvan III thought that Xin Zhao was not fighting for the right side. That's how Xin Zhao was converted. Anyway, the point is, Xin Zhao is insanely strong. But not quite as powerful as someone like Lee Sin. Lee Sin may be slightly lower
Blind
than
monk.
Xin Zhao when it comes to pure fighting. But Lee Sin has the edge because he can use the Dragon's Flame. The same goes for Yasuo. He's also a really good fighter, but he has the edge because he can use the Wind Technique. And somewhat of a similar thing goes for Victor. Victor himself is a really clever inventor.
This guy's
But his power level
badass.
comes from the fact that he's really good at replacing his own body.
This guy looks fucking badass. I remember the first time I saw him too. He looks badass.
He is simply more than a human, on a similar level to other people using some kind of a powerful technique. And what's better than a really clever powerful inventor? A Yordle inventor. Or 3 of them. Rumble is the lowest of them because Rumble is using literal garbage for his machinery. Heimerdinger is above him because he actually knows what the heck he's doing with his inventions. And Ziggs would be above him because Ziggs is not held back by moral code. His wild side would give him the edge.
It's like order and chaos. Nice. I like that.
Then we have the 2 guys who are tapping into the powers of the Void. They are not really as insanely powerful as people would think, They are really just people touched by the void, but the void is so powerful that Kassadin and Malzahar would be above the rest. And then there is Kled, really old and really skilled soldier, who's kinda held back by his dementia. A very unfortunate fate for Kled. Though because of Skarl, it almost kinda equals out. Shyvana would be on a similar level. Being a half-dragon, it's almost natural to be a really powerful magical being.
Whoa.
Almost as powerful as the last land-walking Vastaya.
Wukong.
Wukong. The reason why Wukong is above all the other Vastaya so far is because Wukong was trained by Master Yi, which means that Wukong has the basics of the Wuju technique. He can't use it, he didn't have visions of the past.
Vuju is the ones from Ionia, the ancient protectors that had like the gold and like green motifs, right? Wuju. That have like the gold and green motifs, right? Like the ones where like they're like wiped out or whatever. They're the ones that they're like almost completely fucking yeah. Okay.
Just like Master Yi did, but even with Master Yi's training on its own, Wukong is just way more powerful. And he is even using the battle staff of Doran. Above him we would have Sion, a human being resurrected by pure dark magic. That's kinda where that ends. Above him there would be Yorick, someone who is able to survive the Black Mist because he has a vial of the Blessed Waters on his neck, and someone who has the ability to speak to the dead and control the dead.
Sick. He kind of looks like Gul'dan.
So that is not as powerful as someone like Illaoi, who is the chosen of the god of motion called Nagake Boros.
Yeah.
Using the Eye
She's
of the
badass.
God, which is the artifact she's holding, she's able to test mortal souls. That's what she did to Gangplank. And channeling the god's powers, Illaoi is just way above everyone else.
Cool.
Though
dude.
the Iceborn would be above her, just like Ari. Alright, I always say that someone is the last Vastaya, but no, Ari is the
Iceborn,
last.
that guy next to Ari there is Braum, right? The guy with the door shield thing.
Like Ari. Alright, I always say that someone is the last Vastaya, but no, Ari is...
Listen, chat. The whole furry thing is not for me, but holy fucking shit. Would. Absolutely would. Don't even give a fuck. Would.
is the last land-walking Vastaya on this list.
Respectfully.
While the Iceborn are really
Respectfully.
strong themselves, because they are just really resilient people inheriting the distant power of the Watchers,
And that's Ash. Yeah.
while being able to wield weapons of true ice.
One of the reborn sisters. And so's this one. What's this one's name again? Sejuani. Right. And those two, Ash and Sejuani, are sisters to Lysandra. And they're like the three reborn sisters.
While being able to wield weapons of true ice, which can instantly kill anyone who is not an Iceborn. Ari is on a similar level because she is empowered by the souls of her victims. So when it comes to Ari, essentially the longer she lives,
Jesus.
the more powerful she gets. Then
It's
above the
kinda dark.
Iceborn, we have some of the undead. Kalista is there because unlike the other people from the Shadow Isles, Kalista is not utilizing the power of the Black Mist. That's why she is a lot lower. And Karthus is really just herding the souls. He doesn't really do anything about that. And so, above those, we have the other people related to the Black Mist. There is Akshan, who should be on the same level as someone like Lucian, who was way lower on the list. But the Absolver and the ability to resurrect people brings him a lot higher.
Yeah, that's
Next to
pretty
him,
powerful.
there is Senna, who is also just like Lucian.
She's
but she
awesome, dude. The cinematics that I've watched with her and Lucian are fucking badass, dude. These two are fucking badass. I watched all that stuff with like she and they and them and the Ruined King and Thresh and all that stuff, dude. Yeah, Senna and Lucian are fucking, they're baddies, dude. Both, they're fucking sick.
embraces the power of the Black Mist, and the same thing goes for Gwen. Except for Black Mist, Gwen is using the Hallowed Mist. And above them,
What the
we
fuck
have
is that? Hollowed Mist? I'll have to learn more about that. Instead of Black Mist, Hollowed Mist? What's it, like imbued with arcane or something? What the fuck does that mean? It's all blue and shit. It's the good mist. Long story. Cleansed mists. Gotcha.
For Black Mist, Gwen is using the Hallowed Mist. And above them, we have the last Vastaya, who's not landwalking. Being one of the Marai, who are one of the most ancient Vastaya that we know about,
Queen Ashara, dude.
inheriting the wisdom of her people, and having the connection of the aspect of the moon, that's why Nami would be above the other Vastaya.
Don't say it? Oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. Nah. She's beautiful, just like Queen Ashara, but she also a squid fish creature.
And having the connection of the aspect of the moon, that's why Nami would be above the other Vastaya. Then there is Olaf, who is really shady. Once again, not counting the lore from the Sentinels of Light, it is really difficult to rank Olaf, because theoretically Olaf is immortal. As long as he fights, he can't die. That is what his prophecy said.
It's fucking OP.
But you know, it would be insane to say that he would be actually immortal as long as he fought. All prophecies should be able to be broken. Otherwise, Olaf would have to be on the same level of something like Aurelian, a never-dying soul. But that would be quite insane. That's why Olaf is where he is. A really strong fighter with uncanny powers, just like Tryndamere. Tryndamere is above everyone else because he is tapping into the power of the Darkin. That's
that's why he gets so enraged. Oh, I see, okay. And this guy is the husband of Ash? Aatrox cursed him, right. So, and that's why he goes ballistic and like fights the visage of death, and that's why you see Kindred in the cinematic and everything, even though he's just staving off fighting someone who's trying to kill him. Yeah, he's like, so he's kind of like Mordekaiser, who died and then was so pissed off about the things that happened that he remade death, except this guy's so fucking mad that he won't die. Like, this guy just gets so pissed he just won't fucking die.
That's where his encounter with Aatrox comes in. So basically, he is a Freljordian warrior tapping into some insane powers. The same goes for Yone, that's why Yone is above him. He's also just a really powerful swordsman who is tapping into the power of the Ionian demons called the Azakana.
This guy's one of my favorites so far, man. Yone is fucking sick, dude. His story is pretty cool from what I understand of it, and he looks badass, dude. Yeah, this is Yasuo's brother. I know that. And he shows up in Kin of the Stained Blade. The whole story is about him and Yasuo. It's, yeah, dude. He's cool. He is fucking cool. Go figure, one of my favorites so far is fucking League of Legends Illidan. Like, come on. Like...
And that's why Varus is slightly above him. Varus is the combination of two veteran archers who were incredible hunters and one really powerful Darkin.
Yeah, we watched that cinematic too. That one was, the song in that one's a fucking banger. But yeah, them like falling into that like well or whatever and like being bound together in the fucking bow, pretty sick.
Since the Darkin also has some control over the body, Varus is just way higher than Kayn. And he would be on the same level of someone like Yone. And then we have the Yordles. Unlike the other Yordles, including Kled, the reason why these are more powerful is because their connection to the spirit realm is a lot higher.
All these Yordles, dude. What's that? Teemo, Kennen, Lulu. I know that one's name. Poppy. Fuck. And the last one I don't know.
Ziggs, Heimerdinger, and Rumble are
Tristana.
Really just screwing around in the mortal realms, while all of these Yordles are embracing the spiritual powers. Tristana would be the weakest of them, followed by Poppy, who has the edge because she has the Hammer of Orlon, a legendary artifact
huge.
Weapon. Above her, there would be...
How the fuck she even hold that? What the fuck? That hammer's almost bigger than she is. What the fuck?
Hammer of Orlon, a legendary artifact weapon. Above her, there would be Lulu, one of the most powerful sorcerer Yordles in Bandle City.
She was funny. Yeah, I like the cinematic with all them. That was the Bandle City one. Yeah, what he just said. Where she has to guard the rock. That's a funny ass cinematic.
Above her, there would be Lulu, one of the most powerful sorcerer Yordles in Bandle City. Above her, there would be Kennen, whose link to the spirit realm is far higher than anyone else's, because he is one of the leaders of Kinku. And above him, there is Teemo. We don't know
even more than Shen? Shen can fucking literally see the spirit world.
He's one of the leaders of Kinku. And above him, there is Teemo. We don't know too much about Teemo, but we know that despite his looks, Teemo is one of the deadliest Yordles out there.
Everyone fucking hates Teemo, dude. You know what? I'm with you guys. Fuck Teemo. I don't even know why, but fuck Teemo. True. Yo, true and real.
He's a master assassin at the same time. So whether Teemo or Kennen is stronger, that's really up to you. Above those, there would be Trundle. Trolls in general are incredibly strong.
He's cool.
They are pretty much immune to the frost.
He looks just like a WoW troll. It's cool. I like it. I love the bright, contrasting fucking red and magenta hair. It's cool. It looks just like a troll from WoW.
Trundle himself is also an Iceborn. He wields a true ice weapon. That on top of the fact that trolls have incredible regenerating powers, Trundle is just way higher than what people would expect. But he's not quite as powerful as something like Vastai Shirei, which is Neeko. Neeko is not a pure Vastai Shirei. If she was, she would be way higher on the list.
This one's a shapeshifter, right? Something like that? She can fucking change a bunch of forms? Oh, right, because that's like a chameleon. Okay, cool.
But she is close enough to her pure ancestors that her power levels are just way too high. That's why
Fairy are strong. Fae are usually pretty strong. She kind of gives me Fae vibes.
enough to her pure ancestors that her power levels are just way too high. That's why, notice I didn't call her a Vastaya. And she would be on a similar level
Nico's
to something
prop
like
hunt.
Maokai. Maokai is a nature spirit,
Ooh.
but the issue with Maokai is that Maokai is barely surviving. He's doing all he can to push back the black mist, so he is not in the best shape. Above him there
It's
would
like
be
corrupting
Nunu,
him,
but Nunu's
potentially.
powers don't really come from Nunu. It's all about Willem. From Nunu's story, we learned that the ancient Yetis were insanely powerful. They had incredible connections to magic, and their wisdom was inconceivable.
Oh, a lot of people think that's Nunu. Oh, okay. Yeah, it gives like big Ori vibes. Yeah. Well, thanks for clarifying, just to make sure. Yeah, I figured, I assumed that.
So Willem alone
This is an ancient spirit Yeti.
able to carry Nunu. Literally. After that, we have Jaina. Jaina is also a primal spirit.
Man, I haven't seen Jaina be looking like that ever. Jaina, I know.
Before Piltover and Zone split, many people worshipped her, that's when she was at her best. But since then, only people in Zone pray to Jaina, and Jaina gets her power from her followers. That's why she's not as high as she could be. Lilia is on the same level. She's also a spirit born from dreams in Ionia. Not the most powerful spirit, but powerful
A
enough.
true creature of dreams, though. Interesting.
And then we get to Rel. Rel is an incredible mage
Whoa.
who is thought to be able to fight someone like Mordekaiser with proper training. Currently, Rel is held back by two facts. She is a child and she has no real training.
Metal
Once
bender? Sick.
both of those factors get cancelled out, she'll be a lot higher. Above her there is Veigar, the last Yordle on this list who is the most powerful Yordle that we know about.
What the fuck? That looks like that black mage. Yeah, Vivi. You guys are on it, dude. You guys are on that shit.
And above him, there is a spirit that is not in a bad shape. Ivern is a spirit that was born from the Omikaelan, the world tree of Ionia. That alone makes Ivern really powerful. But he's still not the primal spirit of the entire continent. He is essentially just a spirit, in a slightly weaker form because Ivern the Cruel, the Freljordian warrior,
There it
cut
is.
down the original tree that was responsible for the power of the spirit. So even Ivern is not in his prime. And Ivern would have a similar power to Camille. Camille is
Camille?
an expert assassin.
Oh,
forged
this is
by
the chick I saw in the cinematic trying to fucking fight Jin. In the theater. Yeah, her fucking creepy spider spike legs fuck me up, dude. I don't like that. And she uses like a grapple as like almost like spindle. That's sick.
Hextech to be perfect. She has enhanced vision, she really can't miss, and she got the best training Piltover could offer. She is really assassin brought to perfection. Galio would be on a similar level. He's a Petricite Titan, he's really big, but that's kinda where his power comes from. If he wasn't big, Galio would be actually way lower on the list. Because besides moving around, he doesn't do much, maybe besides absorbing magic. But even that can backfire. On a similar level, there would also be Skarner. If you really think about it, Skarner is just a dude, but he's a different species. So it is really the fact that he has
That's Scorpion from Skarner retconned. That's old Scar. That's outdated as fuck. Okay. Old Skarner. Yeah, and it looks kind of old. It's Scorpion from Nighthold. This is completely changed? Okay, okay.
A Hextech battery on his tail that brings him this high.
Can I see the new one? Whoa. Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
Then there is Udyr, a spirit walker channeling the power of the primal gods of Freljord.
People want me to look into Udyr a lot. I've heard that name a lot.
There's not much more I can say on this. He's a guy who is tapping into some real godly powers. That's why Aphelios is right next to him. Aphelios is also a guy who is tapping into godly powers of the moon goddess. And that's why Pantheon is next to him. Pantheon used to be a god himself, but after the aspect of war died, now he is a dude that is tapping into the remnants of a godly power. And that's why Swain...
Pantheon is fucking badass, dude. He's one of the coolest so far, man. He's so fucking badass.
Dude that is tapping into the remnants of a godly power. And that's why Swain is next to him. Because Swain is tapping into the godly powers of a demon. And one of the more powerful demons at that. The demon of secrets, Raum. And following the patterns, then there is Pyke. Pyke is a guy who is tapping into the powers of Nagake Boros. While he should be on the same level of someone like Illaoi.
You need to react to the voice lines? Bro, I already have.
Illaoi is only following the powers of Nagake Boros, and she is wielding them for the god's good. But Pyke is infused with those powers. He's almost being controlled by the god. That's why he's a lot higher. And then we get the first Shreeman Ascended, Nasus. Nasus is
He's
really
cool.
powerful, but he's also quite depressed these days, so he is not in his best form. Then
To answer a question that I was asked earlier, I think that my most in the zones, there's 3 zones that I'm the most interested in personally. That would be Shurima, that would be Ionia, and that would be Demacia. Personally. Not that I don't think the others are cool or interesting, but those are... Shurima's like my number 1. I'm really curious about Ishtal. Ikathi is fucking destroyed, so, you know. I would like to know more about the Blessed Isles before it became the Shadow Isles. That would be cool. But yeah.
And there is Nocturne. The reason why Nocturne, unlike the other demons, is this low is because Nocturne is banished.
And this guy's like a primordial demon. This guy's old as fuck. Right? It's like an old demon. So he's like Fiddlesticks, but Fiddlesticks is like a demon about fear and stuff. Nocturne, what? Is this the guy that feeds on nightmares? Fiddle's one of the 10 kings, demon kings, which I don't know anything about yet, but I'm sure I'll learn about that. And this guy feeds on basically like the nightmares that Fiddlesticks can cause.
As we know, he should be still locked up somewhere around Demacia. His encounter with Lux didn't really go well. That's why, in his current form, Nocturne is slightly lower. Then there is someone like Hecarim, who is this high because he is fully embracing the power of the Black Mist. Hecarim can freely make up his own army as he wishes. We learned that from his very recent story in Demacia. He simply reaches into the Black Mist, pulls out a spirit, and he uses that spirit as his own soldier. That's why Hecarim can craft his...
So weird, dude. I'm sure I'll learn more about it, but like the Black Mist gives me like, I don't know, almost like, I don't know, almost like void corrupted spirit energy kind of vibes. Like it's very interesting. I'd like to learn more about that.
Own armies. Silas would be on a similar level, though Silas's power is highly situational. If Silas is in the middle of nowhere, he can't do anything. He needs to be around something magical. But the reason why he is this high, unlike the other mages, despite having somewhat simple magical abilities, Silas was able to wield the power of Morgana when he was in the capital city. Under normal circumstances, normal mortals would be broken by such power.
Sick. And Morgana is the sister of Kael, both twin sister descendants of the aspect of justice, Kael being way more zealous and like hardcore by the book. And Morgana, I watched everything about them yesterday. They're fucking sick. Kael and Morgana lore is fucking badass, dude.
But Silas was able to tap into the powers of gods and then wield them.
Silas is cool.
That makes him special. Someone like Zed...
And Silas is the leader of the Demacian anti-mage rebellion, right? Where he's the one that fights against Lux and Garen and that cinematic and all that stuff. This guy's pretty cool. I hear a lot of stuff about this guy.
Gods and then wield them. That makes him special. Someone like Zed would be still slightly above him. Someone like Zed would be still slightly above him. The Shadow technique is simply that powerful. It is similar to Nocturne himself, but Nocturne is still weaker because he is banished. That's why Zed is so high. And then there is Renekton. Renekton is simply far stronger than Nasus. And in the latest story,
Zed seems pretty cool, by the way. The whole Shadow Ninja type shit is fucking sick.
we even saw what happens if someone tries to strike Renekton down. Some kind of weird celestial magic reshapes Renekton's bones and meat and snaps him back together. Reading his story was quite mind-blowing. But what we learned from that is that we always underestimated Renekton's power. Then we finally get another demon, Tahm Kench. Not the most powerful one, but he is still a demon. So his power
Fucking
level
looks like a
in
demon.
general would be way above everyone else. Kinda on the same level of someone like Rek'Sai, one of the biggest Voidborn on Runeterra that we know about.
Is that the thing that Kaisa fights in that cinematic?
Like Rek'Sai, one of the biggest Voidborn on Runeterra that we know about.
And then she falls down there and finds Belveth?
You know, we have no idea what Cho'Gath is. But being the Broodmother, Rek'Sai is just insanely powerful. And then there is Nautilus. If you thought that
This
fight
guy's
was
cool.
really good because he was infused with the powers of Nagake Boros, he's nothing compared to Nautilus. Nagake Boros forged Nautilus into a full-on titan. At this point, Nautilus is the right hand of the god. And then we have Shen. Being
Oh,
the
yeah.
Eye of Twilight, Shen has by far the best connection to the
Fucking
spirit.
Sub-Zero, bro. My man.
At least out of all the mortals. He's really deadly in the physical realm and he's really deadly in the spirit realm. There's really not much people can do when fighting him. Then there is Brand. Normally Brand would be a lot higher, because
Whoa.
Brand is essentially using the power of a world rune. But the point of Brand's story is that Brand can't control the power of a world rune. The
Fucking Bolvar 4 Dragon, dude. This is sick. This guy's badass.
power consumed him. So yes, he is really strong, but he doesn't have the power under control. That's why he is slightly lower. And then there is Thresh.
Thresh
I'm
is
recording
cool, dude. This is
before we
fucking...
got the
This is Kel'Thuzad, man. This guy's badass. And he has cool lines, dude.
I'm recording this before we got the finale of the Light Sentinel event, so that one will definitely change Thresh's power. But currently, it seems
He
like
said, haha, yeah, about that. Did Thresh become, like, giga juiced, or he wasn't in it? Oh.
But currently, it seems like Thresh will be the new leader of the Shadow Isles. That's why he is right here. He is holding inconceivable
New leader
power,
of the Shadow
just
Isles,
like
oh
someone
shit.
like Syndra. Syndra should be a
Chad is straight lying. He got a huge buff. Oh, here's Mommy Syndra right here. Void Mommy Syndra.
be a lot higher, or at least she has the potential to be higher. But
Thresh got some
Syndra
Diego
killed
juice.
every teacher who tried to teach her how to use her powers. So while Syndra has unlimited potential, as she says, the potential is very limited by her own abilities. She simply has no idea what she's doing. Then there is Zyra. The reason why Zyra is so high is because Zyra is a plant that is currently consuming about a third of Ishtal.
Well, that's poison ivy right there. Oh yeah. She's consuming Ishtal. Well, that's fucking terrifying.
The Kumungu jungles are being devastated by her, so I wouldn't underestimate her power. And then we get to some really powerful mages. Zillion is insanely strong not just because he has the mastery over chronomancy, and not just because
Oh
he's
right, this is Amanthul.
one of the very few people who are able to resist the void, but also because he is a mage who trained in Shurima, in Ikathia, in Ishtal, and on the Blessed Isles. Simply
Wow.
said, he is a really powerful mage in
Well-traveled.
general.
Is that
Just
Vladimir
like
next?
Vladimir.
Nice.
Vladimir is a mage who has the mastery over Hemomancy.
Fucking Daddy Denathrius.
Vladimir is a mage who has the mastery over Hemomancy.
This guy's cool.
Which originated from the Darkin. Combined
And this is the guy working with LeBlanc. And who had subdued that human demon fucking thing that LeBlanc was like teasing. Which seems very dangerous.
with the fact that Hemomancy in general has the ability to make you stronger over time, because you simply reshape your body to be stronger and stronger. He also comes from Kamavor, and also, back in the old days, LeBlanc
He's
considered
cool.
Vladimir to be her only equal. She has never met a more powerful mage. That's why Vladimir is so high. He should be higher, but because Vladimir is hiding in Noxus all the time, he
killed a Darkin and absorbed it? That's wild.
doesn't really have the chance to expand his powers.
They look similar.
Above him, there would be Jax.
He didn't? Oh, okay. He got full-blown Arthist.
Or Syjax Koari Ikathun. There's not much to say about him. Jax is the only mortal who was able to single-handedly defeat a Shuriman Ascended. He's the only one who was able to defeat a God Warrior. For that alone, that's why he is this high. But also, he is holding the last flame of Ikathia, and it is possible that he is a sand troll. So he might be like Trundle, but on steroids.
Right, I remember watching his video about that. So this is the last flame of Ikathia that he has in this lantern thing? His old lord said he's so strong he was forced to use the lamppost as a weapon because any other he would be too skilled at using. Bro had to self-nerf. Bro had to nerf himself because he was too fucking... That's crazy.
Then there is Evelyn. Simply a really powerful demon who can shape into anything.
Yeah, we saw her earlier.
She grows more powerful over time the more people she kills. Then there is Malphite. His power really comes from the fact that he is simply really big.
It's a mountain.
He is the shard of the monolith, which was a floating Ishtali citadel. So coming from a purely elemental place, his powers are just really high. However, not as high as the best elementalist mage from Ishtal, Kiana. In the entirety of that entire region, there simply isn't a better mage. Kiana is that powerful. Very slightly more powerful than her, there will be Azir, who is able to single-handedly raise entire armies from sand. He is the most powerful Ascended ever been, and he might be the most powerful Emperor Shurima has ever had.
He's cool.
Zerath would be slightly above him for one simple reason. Azir got the powers from the Sun Disk willingly, but Zerath forced those powers into his body. Zerath took more power than what was intended for him.
He turned into straight-up energy.
That's why his power level is higher. Then we get to Master Yi. I could honestly rant about Yi for hours, but if you are curious as to why Yi is so high, here's why. The Vuju technique is so powerful. It was never intended to be used in combat, but when the Noxian invasion arrived, Yi thought, maybe I should use it. And so he did, and he killed thousands of Noxians alone. The Noxians were so afraid of him, they tracked down his home village and nuked it just to be safe. Just to know there are no other warriors as powerful as him. And the reason why the Vuju technique is so powerful is because it dates back to the first ever mortal race to exist on the planet. The first ever Vastai Shirei used this technique when fighting the first Stone Titans. That's why Yi is where he is.
Sick.
Vel'Koz would be on a similar level because as one of the oldest Voidborn, just like Master Yi, he is able to kill thousands of people in the blink of an eye.
Ugh, God, Necrit, come on, bro.
And then there is Tariq, who might be the weakest of the aspects, but hey, he's an aspect. Above
Well, what one? What's this guy? An aspect of... Which one is he? Gems? Aspect of the Guardian.
Put LeBlanc. Once again, we are not counting political powers. But LeBlanc is ancient at this point. She is thousands of years old. She was present in the Immortal Bastion when Mordekaiser ruled it. She was the one who got Mordekaiser killed. Now she is mastering all the black magic that Mordekaiser was hiding in Noxus. And she is dominating and corrupting the minds of people all over Runeterra. She has eyes everywhere because, quite frankly, she is mind-controlling people everywhere. That's what her clones are about. Her clones are the influence over the entire world. I really wouldn't underestimate...
She's a Dami mommy. Straight up.
Then above LeBlanc, we have another powerful aspect, Leona. And above her,
Leona's pretty sick, dude.
Karma, who is Dara, a mortal vessel to the entire Ionian spirit. The spirit of an entire continent is inside Karma.
The fuck? That seems OP as fuck.
So just like the aspects, she is a vessel of gods. Then there is...
She broke Viego's domination at first, if you remember. I don't really remember, but I believe you. She basically does nothing with it. She's OP and she's super annoying in game.
So just like the aspects, she is a vessel of gods. Then there is Anivia, the weakest of the primal gods. Then there is Rammus.
Anivia? Sounds like Aviana, but different orders of letters. That's fucking Articuno.
Then there is Anivia, the weakest of the primal gods. Then there is Rammus. But it is theorized
The fuck is that, Bowser? Why are you guys spamming okay? Why are you his voice line's basically
Yeah, alright, okay, yeah,
okay. Is that really
right, yeah, alright,
what is that?
okay,
Okay. What the fuck? Holy shit, this got me fucked up. I was not expecting this. Ugh.
that he is snacking on the Voidborn like they were Cheetos. At least he is very powerful because he considers the Voidborn Cheetos. And then there is Rise. Someone who has the potential of the power of the World Runes. But unlike someone like Syndra, who has the potential but she doesn't know how to use it, Rise also has the potential and he also can use the power if he
It's Khadgar.
wished to do so. But
It's Khadgar, dude.
so Rise is simply insanely strong.
Yeah,
He is wielding the power that shaped the entire world. And then there is Diana, one of the stronger Targonian aspects. Unlike Leona, Diana is actually actively pursuing the powers of the moon. Then there is Viego. Viego is simply really powerful.
Arthas Menethil. Yeah, okay.
Because he is the source of the Black Mist. He is the one who can dominate minds of pretty much anything. But he's held back by the fact that he doesn't care about corrupting people. He just wants Isolde, and that's his biggest mistake. Then there is Morgana, also technically a Targonian aspect, but above someone like Diana and Leona. She and Kael were there when Demacia was formed, so they have wisdom, but also they are more closely attuned to the Targonian powers. While someone like Diana and Leona are still trying to figure out what is even happening. Compared to them, Leona and Diana are young. Then we have another really powerful primal Freljordian god.
Leona and Diana are young compared to Kael and Morgana.
Leona are still trying to figure out what is even happening. Compared to them, Leona and Diana are young. Then we have another really powerful primal Freljordian god, Ornn.
This guy's a bad motherfucker. He just kind of skipped over him there, didn't he?
Then we have another really powerful primal
Doesn't this guy, like, only forge, like, legendary weapons? Like, anything this guy forges is, like, the shit. He's like, this game's Khazgaroth.
Freljordian god, Ornn. And as strong as someone like Ornn, there would be Aatrox.
Oh, yeah, this guy, dude. This is one of my favorites right here. Yeah, this guy's one of my favorites right here. This is basically this world's Sargeras. I am not your enemy. I am the enemy. Dude, he has badass voice lines.
Aatrox is simply a Darkin that got out of hand. His rage is untamable, and as long as a mortal is holding his blade, and Aatrox can dominate them, Aatrox is unstoppable.
Yeah.
He is the only being in existence that we know about that was able to kill a celestial god.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy. He straight up killed the aspect of war, right? Which is how Atreus gets severed from the aspect of war and becomes Pantheon the man, who then is like, fuck the gods. He's like, fuck the gods, bro. I'm a man and that's what they should be afraid of. Dude, Pantheon's so fucking cool, dude.
And on the exact same level as Aatrox, I would say we have Kael. Kael is likely the most powerful of the Targonian mortal vessels.
Kael's stronger than Aatrox? Bro.
Theoretically, she is responsible for Garen's
Soraka?
ultimate,
Yeah,
but
that
we
goat
don't count
thing?
that into Garen's power.
goat celestial?
Garen's ultimate is technically Kael's power. And the reason why Morgana is below her is because Morgana willingly gave up on some of her powers. Above those, then we have Lysandra.
Oh, there she
While
is.
Lysandra was really powerful when the three sisters were still alive, and you know, she got wounded by the Volibear. Over time, mastering the ability to not only use the true ice, but also the black ice, she is simply far more powerful than people give her credit for.
Black ice is what, like void corrupted true ice or something? Cool.
She is the only person who is able to keep back the Watchers, the end of all reality. That's why she may be the most powerful mortal in existence. But still above her, we have the
Volibear.
stronger of the primal gods, the Volibear.
Why does he say the Volibear? Is that... I like how he says the Volibear instead of just Volibear. Because Volibear isn't his real name? Oh, that's what he is. So he is Valir the Volibear. I see.
Then we have Soraka. While it
There's
is true
Soraka.
that Soraka is purely a celestial being, Soraka gave up on her celestial powers so that she could drop down onto Runeterra, get a physical form, and help mortals from their suffering. Soraka
Hear me out. Hear me out.
does have a physical body right now, but her power is so strong her body is burning from the inside. That's why in-game, when you heal someone, you hurt yourself. It's because the powers of Soraka are too
Sick.
strong for her mortal body to handle. Essentially, she is slowly dying. Then we have Mordekaiser, a warlord who, when he was alive, constructed the Immortal Bastion and devastated an entire continent on his own. He himself died on a mountain of corpses. But then he died, he found out there were no gods of death, and so he just decided to become a god of death.
He's badass, dude. He's like the jailer if the jailer was cool. He's like the jailer if they actually revealed that the jailer was the Primus. It's the same aesthetic and everything. This guy's badass. Yeah, this guy versus Aatrox would be fucking sick.
If you thought that Viego was the king of the undead,
Human Mordekaiser casually one-shot the demon imprisoned by LeBlanc? What? What a sick fuck.
decided to become a god of death. If you thought that Viego was the king of the undead, you have no idea what Mordekaiser is about. His power is far beyond that.
There's a lot of color visual language in this game too. Like I noticed a lot of the Kraken stuff, the Mordekaiser stuff, the Viego stuff, the Black Mist stuff, it all has this like greenish teal, you know, anything Shadow Isles as well. Like it just makes me wonder about any potential connections between these things. Yeah, it's like the Maldraxxus color palette kind of thing. It's the death theme. Yeah. I like how League seems to have that same kind of thing. Like WoW has very powerful visual language like that too.
Then there is Zoe.
I always
the
forget about
aspect of
Zoe.
Twilight, who would rank even above someone like Kayle, simply because the Twilight is that powerful. But also, it is the Twilight that currently holds the reins to Aurelian's soul. That's why
she has fucking 2 different colored eyes too. Interesting. Twilight holds the reins to Aurelian's soul.
So it is the Twilight that currently holds the reins to Aurelian's soul. That's why she would be above the rest.
Is that a key on her waist? Is that like symbolic of the key that she holds for Aurelian's soul? Or is that just not? That's Fiddlestick's key? Why does she have that? That she stole it from him? Because she's a little dick.
Currently holds the reins to Aurelian's soul. That's why she would be above the rest. Then there is Bard. Now, while Bard is not really a fighter and he doesn't hurt anyone, Bard are the first sounds the cosmos ever produced. He is on the same level of something like Aurelian's soul.
Oh yeah.
He is simply a pure cosmic energy. But unlike Soraka, he didn't bind himself to a mortal form. He just visited Runeterra, and he didn't want to scare people, so he borrowed some items from a traveling theater.
He's such a the theme of Bard is so cool. Sentient sound that is potentially responsible for like birthing Runeterra and the physical worlds of reality is like, that's sick. That's a lot like Azeroth in World of Warcraft, who like puts out a song, and yeah, very interesting.
He is still a pure celestial being. And around him, I would rank Fiddlesticks. As far as we know, Fiddlesticks is the primal demon. He is the dark force that is moving the entirety of Runeterra.
Yeah, I did not understand that obviously at all. When I watched his thing, like, he was freaky, but I did not realize that he was that level of motherfucker.
He is the source of the legend of the 10 kings. The 10 kings where one king consumed the rest. So it is possible that once there were 10
Delirium, nightmares, secrets, obsession, frenzy, bliss, fear. What does this say? Something at the bottom? Azakana? What, that means demon? Or demons of Ionia? Right, that's what Yone fought and melded with his Azakana. Lesser demons? Oh, so this is from top to bottom, like a family tree, like almost hierarchy kind of thing?
demons, but fiddlesticks consumed the rest.
He's the fiddler.
He is the primal evil. And no, the scarecrow is not fiddlesticks. The demon is inside the scarecrow, and he's just using it as a vessel. So remember, fiddlesticks, first of 10, fiddlesticks, end of men. And then we have Aurelian Soul.
Aurelian Soul's not number 1? What?
Starforger. You know, a technical god. Because he has the ability to actually forge stars around which you form planets.
This guy's fucking
You
badass.
couldn't get more godly than that. However, even Aurelian is not the most powerful.
Oh, Kindred. Duh, it's the only one that we haven't had on there.
Because it was confirmed, everyone in reality has to meet the
Even
end.
Aurelian Soul will die. Kindred is outdated.
And Aurelian Soul is no exception. Even he can't avoid it. And
Kindred was nerfed in lore.
that is the list of all the
Because I was thinking out Aurelian Soul, then Bard, and then maybe Kindred. Kindred was kind of the death and end, but she got retconned to being weaker. Okay. Aatrox would be way more up since the general lore.
champions.
Yeah, I mean, that's
were
okay. It's outdated. We all knew it going into it. That's all right.
according to their power, according to their lore. It was quite a longer video than I expected, but you know, we had to do it. It was inevitable. Of course, if you don't agree with something, feel free to argue with us in the comment section.
Kindred isn't death itself. It's a spirit of death and the representation of the reaping, right? Like the taking of life. And there's a bunch of different interpretations to what Kindred looks like depending on the culture. But it's like mortal death, but like not literally like death itself.
On stream with about 1200 people talking about this. I really think this list is really fair. But you know, the lore is ever changing. The Sentinels of Light were a proof of that. So, who knows where Thresh is gonna land?
Sag.